Folks, today's show deals with some very urgent and pressing matters, and I need you guys to pay attention. I am going to be discussing the threat to our voting rights, the threat to our elections, in fact, even the threat to our very democracy. In addition to that, I will also issue a dire warning about these so-called purity tests. You know what they are. They're, so-and-so only voted 99% of the time with the Democratic Party. And then that one time they voted a way I didn't like. Well, those purity tests could very well cost us an election. So, and it could cost us a huge state. So please listen closely. But first, you know how when you go to get gas at the gas station, normally you can just pull up to the pump. There's certain states that don't let you pump your own gas, but 9 times out of 10, you can pull up to a pump and put your debit card into the gas pump and pump your gas. Imagine if all of a sudden there was a concern that people were cheating the system. So they were going to change that up, right? And it wasn't a huge number of people. Out of all of the gas stations in America, there was less than 1% of gas pumps that were being cheated. But still, it was a concern. So the decision was made that everybody would now have to go into the little gas station mart, have to go up to the cashier and pay for your gas there. You have to stand online and pay for your gas there. Now imagine you can't use your debit card because that's one of the rules. One of the new rules is you cannot use your debit card anymore because something is wrong with the system. The system is rigged. So we have to control that too. So you can't use singles. You can't use $5 bills. You can't use $10 bills or $20 bills or even $100 bills. You can only use $2 bills and $50 bills. Imagine that. Imagine that. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? To just throw the whole system into disarray. Now, sure, $2 bills exist, right? They're in the system. $50 bills too, right? But do you have one on you right now? Do you have either one of those, a $2 bill or a $50 bill? My guess is going to be no, you don't. So where are you getting that $2 bill and that $50 bill? Well, you got to go to the bank and you got to wait online and go to the bank teller and withdraw enough for $2 bills and $50 bills to pay for your gas. Now, as you all know, sometimes at these banks, if you don't have an account at that bank, you now have to open an account in order to take out money. So that's yet another fold of bureaucracy added to the system that was working just fine. But because there was fraud found in 0.0003% of gas stations, everybody has to now go through this bullshit. That's what I'm talking about. That is the bullshit that I'm talking about today. And Republicans will make all kinds of excuses about, why it's regular and you shouldn't have a problem with showing your ID. It's not just about showing ID. It's about control. And it's about who they want to vote. And it has nothing to do with undocumented immigrants. So we have some stuff to get in today. So I hope you're ready to get into it because I am. Let's go. Incredible person, incredible human being. Yes, famous. Yes. Oh, excuse me. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Defiant Weekly. I'm your host, Majid Bedelin, aka Brooklyn Dad Defiant. And what is this? Excuse me. Okay, so welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you guys are doing okay. Um, we have some stuff to discuss, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into what I like to refer to as our stories of the day. The very first one, of course, is the Big Lie 2.0. The Big Lie being a reference to the rigged election. The election was rigged. It was rigged. They stole the election from me. Come on. If we could have rigged the election, just for the record, if Democrats were to rig the election, his ass would not be sitting in the White House today. I guarantee you. And you know what? There's a few other people I can think of. Ted Cruz for one, Lindsey Graham for another. If you can think of someone else, if you could have rigged the election and you can think of any other candidate that you would keep from being reelected, drop that comment in the chat, please. But yeah, so I'm going to discuss what the SAVE Act is saying that it's doing, but what it's actually doing. And next, I have two excellent Democratic candidates running for Senate in Texas. We have an embarrassment of riches, and this normally should not be a problem. This should be a great problem to have, actually. But we run the risk of losing the whole thing if both sides attack each other and damage each other going into the general election. And last but not least, I'm going to hold up a mirror to Donald Trump and President Obama and do a tape, a measuring of the tape, so to speak, and see how Trump measures up against one of the best presidents in the history of the United States. And if you have not yet been to the show, welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please make sure you hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button, which is in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Let me give a quick shout out to my friends here. Let's see. Well, Kevin Neal is not a friend, but he jumped on first. He was first to say some nasty things, saying the quiet part out loud. Other than protesting, what recourse do we let me throw this up there. Saying the quiet part out loud asks, other than protesting, what recourse do we, normal, everyday people, have? My friend, that is an excellent question, and I'll give you a short answer. The short answer is, one by one, in our everyday lives, we educate one person. One person. We dispel the myths. We clear up all the propaganda and the BS, because there's a lot of lies being shared out there, mostly on the right. And it's up to us to set the record straight. Joanne Kennedy is here. Pat Graham Black. Lucy is here. Valerie G. Meredith Powell. Did I say Joanne Kennedy? Queen of the South. There she is. Sharon Landry is here. Eddie G. Welcome, my friend. Tina Bradford. Monique Lee. Sandra from Paramount, California. Let's see. Trey Ann is here. Did I say Meredith Powell? There she is. Let's see. Waverly, thank you for reposting this stream. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you guys have been following my feed, you would have noticed yesterday I was in a bit of a celebratory mood. It's a pretty big day in the Pedelin household, as my wife, whom I met on Twitter, let's see, what this is. This is 26. So it it was 8.5 years ago, I met my wife on Twitter, and she was in New Zealand. And long story short, we got married. She came over here, and we immediately began the process, the immigration process. A very long and complicated process. I can I can speak to that. It was not easy, but we literally did everything we were supposed to do. We asked people for advice, people who had been through it. Yeah, so it's doable. It's just not easy. This past year, though, 2025 until yesterday, when she swore her oath to the United States of America, which was a pretty cool moment. Would have been better if they didn't have to play a video by Donald Trump, but they did. And for the past year, I have been nervous as hell. Just basically every day wondering if someone was going to come banging on the door looking to take my wife away. Why? Because I had already heard and seen plenty of videos of people going through the process legally, people snatched up in court. We had an interview a couple of months ago, and I was a nervous wreck. Literally thought I was going to be one of those videos where they were like grabbing us and like I'm screaming and putting my phone on. And so it didn't come to that. Thank God. And so, so now she is a citizen and she will be able to vote in November. She registered like as soon as we got home yesterday. She started the registration process. And my daughter will also be turning 18 in August. So that's two more voters for Team Blue. That's awesome. Okay, so with that said, let's talk about what the hell is going on with this SAVE Act, right? So the SAVE Act is a bill that Republicans came up with because the writing is on the wall, folks. I'm not going to mince words here. The writing is on the wall. Republicans know that they are looking at a drubbing, a pummeling, a clobbering. Pick whatever adjective you can think of that is equivalent of getting their asses beat, taken to the woodshed. Yeah. And it looks even worse this year than in previous years, like in 2018, 2020, 2022, 22. Yeah. All of those years where, they were projected to lose. This is very different. And it's different because Donald Trump has taken the Republican Party in a stranglehold and basically declared that he's going to do whatever the hell he wants. And if you defy him, he will put you on Front Street. He will humiliate you. He will set his followers against you. That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene basically quit. So as a result, he's making some really dumb decisions. Like, for instance, the tariffs. Tariffs are devastating the American economy. And despite the fact that Pam Bondi says the Dow is 50,000 points, the Dow is not the economy. The American economy has been losing jobs steadily all of 2025. It was an abysmal number for 2025. I don't think it even matched up to one of Joe Biden's months. Prices are still going up. Grocery prices, utility prices, the electric. Talk to me about the electric bill, please, because it is not pleasant. That shit is high. Every time I go to buy groceries, same thing. High prices. They're not going down. He said he was going to bring them down on day one. Electricity, he said, if I don't cut your prices in half, by 1 year from now, you can be mad at me. Well, the American public is pissed at him. So what did he do? He decided he wanted to gerrymander. He wanted to do redistricting. He wanted to cheat. He told Texas to redistrict in the middle of a decade. It's something that is not done. And he did that because he knew he was going to lose. So what's phase 2 of their cheating fusillade? The SAVE Act. So what does the SAVE Act do? It requires that people show voter ID. Those of you who have ever had to get your birth certificate again for whatever reason, those of you who have ever applied for a passport, I've applied for a passport. I have one. It's not a quick process and it's not a cheap process. Same thing goes with Social Security card, birth certificate. Those documents are not easy to obtain. And in the process, yeah, you know what? Americans are kind of lazy. So something that should be an automatic right for a U.S. citizen is now becoming red tape, is a bureaucracy. Fox News put out a poll saying, do you think people should be required to show a valid form of state or federally issued photo identification to prove U.S. citizenship before being allowed to vote? So all voters say 84%. Democrats say 70%. Republicans, 96%. Independent. Across the board, everybody is in favor of showing a valid form of photo ID. What's valid? Driver's license. Everybody's got a driver's license. Students have college ID, college students. All these different forms of ID that required us going through those hurdles. Most of us have. We already have them. And in fact, driver's license changed from driver's license to like real ID. So some people had to go and get real ID driver's license. You know what I mean? So we already have that. So that's why those numbers are so high, because that's the question. That is the way they are asking that's the way they're asking the question, right? If I asked you, if you were hungry and I asked you, would you like a big juicy cheeseburger? You'd be like, yeah, sure. What I didn't tell you is that big juicy cheeseburger is sitting in the open mouth of an angry, hungry lion. You have to take that. I'm not telling you that part. I'm just asking you, would you like a burger? You know what I mean? So these guys are lying by omission. They're telling you only half of the story. Republican leaders announced reforms to ensure that, quote unquote, only the right people vote. And this is a meme, which, back in the day, memes were meant to be funny, but there's nothing funny about this. And actually, excuse me, Kristi Noem, just last week or the week before, said that the Trump regime was busy focusing on ensuring that the right people are voting. Let me show you a very interesting video that I just came across. It was posted by Midas Charisse Lee. She says, these are the stories people need to hear. It isn't about fraud. It's about trying to control the outcome by using fear and manipulation. Here we go. This is wild.
Okay, y'all, they already starting with the BS in Texas. I'm down here to vote. I came the first day of early voting, which is today. They're telling me I'm not registered. I'm sorry, ma'am, I just voted in the presidential election. I've voted in every election since I've been here. And now I'm magically not registered. You said we needed a passport to vote. No problem, ma'am. Now you said I can't use this because it's not pulling anything up. My name isn't in here, this, that, and the third. I need to go and get my driver's license. Okay. I'm going to walk back to the car and get my license. But I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to leave here without voting. Listen, baby, tighten up and get it right. Call who you need to call. Do what you need to do. Because today, I'm voting, boo-boo. This day, I shall vote. This day shall not end without me voting. You understand me? Because I'm following the rules, I'm following the regulations, I'm doing what you said I need to do, the whole 9 yards. So at the close of this day, I'm going to have that little on my chest. Say it with your chest, because I'm voting today.
Now, unfortunately, I do not know what happened. I don't have a follow-up video for that woman, but it was shocking, very shocking to see that already. Like they haven't even passed the SAVE Act yet. Shocking to see that they're already doing these kinds of shenanigans. And luckily, she had her passport. She was all ready to go. But how many people? It's a lot of people that actually don't have their passport or birth certificate. Who does the SAVE Act impact? 1 in 3 married American women lack proof of citizenship documents with their current legal name. So now what? So now you want to disenfranchise women. You want to tell married women, no less. All because you believe that undocumented immigrants are being invited to America to steal your vote, right? You guys realize that is already a federal law. It's already a federal law. It's like creating a new law saying that, I don't know, murder is illegal. Don't we already have a law for that? Yes, we do. Murder by undocumented immigrants is against the law. Well, murder by anybody is against the law, right? According to the Brennan Center and even the Heritage Foundation's own database, non-citizen voting is vanishingly rare. And in a study of the 2016 election across 12 states, officials found only 30 incidents of suspected non-citizen voting out of 23.5 million votes. So, out of 23 million votes, 30 incidents of suspected non-citizen voting. And this is what we're throwing everything up in upheaval for? That's ridiculous. If you were so concerned, if Donald Trump was so concerned about election security, why then, in 2025, why did the Trump administration reduce federal funding and support for election infrastructure security, targeting agencies like CISA? CISA is a Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, an initiative such as the Election Infrastructure Information Sharing and Analysis Center. These actions, including cutting $10 million in annual funding for cybersecurity efforts, aimed to reduce the federal role in election security and address budget concerns. So you want to save a few pennies. So you reduced funding to a super critical election security initiative. By the way, I wonder how many of you remember how angry Donald Trump got when his head of CISA, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. I didn't come prepared with that. But the head of CISA under him in his first term said this election was the most secure election in history. Donald Trump had a conniption when that dude said that. He doesn't know what he's talking about because Donald Trump was Donald Trump was so blown away by the fact that Joe Biden didn't just beat him, he took him to the woodshed. He beat him by 7, almost 8 million votes, popular votes. Humiliated him. He still hasn't gotten over it. To this day, he's still talking about it. So naturally, anytime he doesn't win an election, it must have been rigged. Look at, I just wanted to go back to this thing here. His executive order says only votes for Republicans count. Votes for Democrats are fraud. That's essentially what this guy is trying, essentially the argument that he's trying to make. There are some instances where people on the right wing are being very, very disingenuous. And that's one of the things I have to clear up today. I'm really upset that there isn't a more concerted effort being made across every platform, every day, all day freaking long, until people understand that this is like sleight of hand bullshit that these guys are doing. These Republicans are doing. Oh, it's just common sense. You need an ID to buy beer or board a plane. So why not to vote? Well, do they ask you to bring your birth certificate to buy a beer? Do you need your birth certificate for that? Or is just a regular driver's license fine? State ID. Non-driver's ID. Is that fine? Why the birth certificate? And why are you comparing apples to oranges? It's not the same thing. Voting and buying a beer, it's not the same thing. 21 million people do not have access to their birth certificate or to passports. 69 million married women don't have a birth certificate that matches their current legal name. And listen to this, even real IDs and military IDs are not enough under this law because they don't always prove citizenship, only legal residency. Now, they don't tell you this, these right-wingers in Fox News and Newsmax, they don't tell you this because, it's too long for a fast, punchy clip. Oh, I could buy a beer. What's the problem? Oh, we just want to make sure the voter rolls are clean. What they want to do is they want to purge voters from these rolls. And the bill, this SAVE Act bill, mandates that states purge their rolls every 30 days using DHS, Department of Homeland Security databases that are notoriously error-ridden and not designed for voter eligibility. Literally, we just looked at a video that was posted yesterday. This woman was in Texas, was trying to vote. She already voted in the last election. She has her passport. She has all of her documents. Name not found. Explain that. That's some bullshit. Now multiply that times millions of people across the country. This is what I'm talking about. They are trying to disenfranchise voters because why? Because they have shitty policies that nobody likes. And they cannot get people to vote for them the way Democrats are like, yeah, let's do some health care. Let's educate your kids. Let's have free lunch, school lunches for your kids. Let's fix the roads. Stuff like that, stuff that people need. Let's lower prices. States, by the way, when Texas tried this in 2019, they wrongly flagged 100,000 United States citizens, mostly naturalized ones, for removal. Imagine that. Imagine how many election outcomes were changed by removing 100,000 United States citizens. Not undocumented immigrants citizens. That means Americans were denied the right for their votes to be counted. If you don't have a problem with that, you're not the patriot your profile on Twitter or Facebook says you are. You're proudly there with your flag and your skull and your flaming skull with the flag. You're full of shit. If you think that's fine. Oops. Senator Mike Rounds makes the case for voter ID. Look, I can't even buy a Coors Light without showing my ID. Again, not the same thing. Not the same thing as voting. You don't need a birth certificate or a passport to buy your Coors Light. How does the SAVE Act impact Pennsylvania students? So current Pennsylvania law says a state ID is acceptable. But under the SAVE Act, it requires the original birth certificate or passport. Current Pennsylvania law says student ID is valid at the polls for first-time voters. That's great. First-time voters, somebody who's 18 years old, they're finally getting to use their vote, their first official act as an adult, as an American citizen. Now their student ID is invalid. Guys, you know how hard it is to get these things. First of all, they're not readily available. Second of all, you have to make appointments to get these documents. What are you going to do? You're going to take off from work? You're going to take off from school? All this hassle when the way forward should be paved for us. It's our right as American citizens. Dorm room changes are a 30-second online update under the current Pennsylvania law, but under the SAVE Act, address changes require full in-person re-registration. So just because you changed your room, you see that? So the young folks are smart. Donald Trump, I love the poorly educated. So he has no use for college students because they tend to know a dumbass, bonehead, a buffoon when they see him. So, yeah. Let's look at this article here from the BBC, which, by the way, the BBC does some good stuff. If you're looking for nonpartisan stuff, can undocumented immigrants really vote in the U.S. election? What laws are in place to stop illegal immigrants from voting? The Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996 prohibits non-citizens, which includes undocumented immigrants, from voting in federal elections. What's funny about that is that last night on Twitter, a bunch of Trump bots or whatever were trending something that Chuck Schumer said in 1996 when he was addressing, I don't know if it was this act or if it was something, I think it was something to do about welfare. Every state is required to use a common registration form, which requires people to confirm they're U.S. citizens under penalty of perjury for false claims, but does not require documentary proof. What evidence is there that illegal immigrants vote? A number of studies, both from conservative and left-leaning organizations, suggest instances of illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, voting in U.S. federal elections are very rare. One by the Brennan Center for Justice interviewed 44 election officials who worked across 12 states during the 2016 election. It found that out of 23.5 million votes counted in these states, an estimated 30 suspected incidents of non-citizens voting were referred for further investigation. That's about 0.0001% of all votes cast. It is important to get this information out there. It is important to correct the record. Why? Because, damn it, I have by the way, I have my passport. I have my birth certificate. I have every strip of information. I'm a black man here in America, so I have to walk around with my passport, unfortunately, because Donald Trump's Gestapo thugs might want to try something, and I need to have proof that, hey, I'm a citizen. But there's plenty of other people that don't have that information. And voting, folks, it's not just a me thing. Yeah, I cast my vote, so I did my duty, and that's that. No, because the most, we all know it's a numbers game. When we're able to turn out our voters in greater numbers than the other side, we win. And what Republicans are trying to do is trying to limit the number of people who turn out. They make some stupid arguments like, oh, you insulting black people? You think black people don't have the wherewithal to acquire information? It's not that they don't have the wherewithal, the knowledge, the ability. What anybody can stand online and fill out paperwork, but it's a freaking hassle is the point. And it's an unnecessary hassle is the fucking point. Again, if you would love to have to go to the bank and get $2 bills and $50 bills to pay for your gas instead of just using your debit card on the gas pump, then probably the SAVE Act is something that you think makes a lot of sense. But for the rest of us, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, here's that video, by the way, I was telling you guys about. Watch the 1996 Chuck Schumer video is going viral for demanding ID checks to prevent fraud. So again, this was not, he wasn't making a statement about voter fraud. He was talking about welfare fraud. But obviously they cut this video before he says that, because that's what you do when your narrative is on a shifting sands. Christy Nome, when it gets to election day, we've been proactive to make sure we have the right people voting, electing the right leaders to lead this country. Who's the right people, Christy? Who's the right people? There is this myth, this fantasy that millions of undocumented immigrants are going to to vote. You know how dumb that is? That's stupid. That's an insult to everybody, like my wife, for instance, who went the right way, who did this whole process correctly. Not easy. Not easy at all. And it's also an insult to the intelligence of everybody who knows that if you were to jeopardize your being here in America just so you can cast a vote illegally, that's dumb. That's stupid. Oh, they must be paying them. So now they're paying undocumented immigrants. You guys are insane. Insane. So I wrote a Substack about this week. In fact, today. I just published it today. It's called "They Are Not Protecting Elections, They Are Controlling Them. Voter ID Lies, Manufactured Fear, and a Coordinated Campaign to Shrink Democracy." When you create unnecessary barriers to solve a problem that barely exists, you're not protecting democracy, you are manipulating it. And Democrats need a full-throated clapback now, before these false equivalencies calcify through repetition. Because if you repeat a ridiculous lie enough times, people start to treat it like common sense. See Trump. Trump is constantly saying that he didn't lose the 2020 election when 60 different court cases said, you lost, buddy. Not only did you lose, but you got no evidence of any fraud. They sent Rudy Giuliani and the Kraken. What was her name? Sidney Powell. And what's the woman who was farted on? Jenna something. Can't remember her last name, but they were all sent across the country with bullshit. They lost every single case. But he still repeats it to this day. What else is he repeating? He started repeating now that that mail-in ballots. He's saying that no other country uses mail-in ballots. And I'm sorry, man, if you have a phone, right, it has, that it's like a smartphone, you can use the internet, anybody can check, hey, do any other countries use mail-in ballots? And it's something like 32. It's 32 countries. But he's saying this repeatedly over and over. Why? Because to him, it doesn't matter if it's false. It just matters if he can get enough people to believe it. There are multiple layers to the voter ID issue. First, documented voter fraud is vanishingly rare, generally ranging between 0.0003 and 0.0025. Because the people on the other side, right-wingers, are so shameless, they cannot sell ideas the majority supports. So instead, they try to shrink who counts as the majority. They scream cheat and fraud and rigged so loudly they hope Americans will not notice that these accusations are projections. They want voters purged from the rolls. They want districts gerrymandered until voices disappear in seas of red. They want so much red tape that exhausted people working 2 jobs simply give up. Who has the time to chase down birth certificates and Social Security cards after 6 straight work days? Raise your hand if you're working more than 1 job. Raise your hand if by the end of the week you are so freaking exhausted, all you want to do is watch some TV and kick your feet up and relax. You don't want to stand online during your lunch break to have to get these things. Nobody likes dealing with the bureaucracy. And that's what Republicans are counting on. There's enough people displaced by the system, by their new bullshit law. They have as good a chance as any of not being voted out of office. And that's why Republicans in Congress are silently going along with this. They know it's wrong. They know it's wrong. They know they're disenfranchised. Guess it. This is a fun fact here because I Googled it, right? Red states have a disproportionately larger number of people who don't have passports. I don't know why, than blue states. You could look it up yourself. That's weird. That's weird to me. So this law, if it becomes a law, God forbid, could inevitably end up hurting Republicans. But you know what? I don't want it. I don't want it because fewer people participating in this democratic process is a fucking crime. And every patriot, every person who cares about our democracy should be standing up. Everyone, Republicans, independents, Democrats, don't be quiet about this anymore. Set the record straight. Tell your congressman, tell your senator, do not vote for this. And now we proceed with the other shit. Today, or actually over the past week, I have become aware of this guy, Les Wexman. Never heard of him before. Apparently, he's a big deal. He is a millionaire or a billionaire. He's one of those in the Epstein class. And his name has surfaced as being instrumental in the Jeffrey Epstein saga. In fact, so instrumental that he, without Wexman's involvement, there is no Epstein Island. There is no Epstein plane. Like, This dude gave Jeffrey Epstein a lot of clout, a lot of money, a lot of financial backing. He's also the guy whose brands include Victoria's Secret, The Limited. I'm not familiar with that. Abercrombie and Fitch, I'm familiar with, and Bath and Body Works, I'm familiar with. So some very major brands out there damaged badly by this guy. So he's testified that that he had little to nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, but nobody's buying that because this guy, property records show a home owned by Epstein in 1994 that was transferred to the Wexners in 2007 with a listed price of $0. What? That's how those rich people do. They transfer funds amongst themselves. Last August, taped interviews with Epstein's convicted co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, shed even more light on Epstein's connection to Central Ohio. So, wow, she's even saying stuff about this guy, which I feel like this guy Wexner is, I don't give a shit about him. He's probably, I don't know if he's innocent or not, but he's a billionaire, so could care less. But she testified that Epstein set up trust funds for all of Wexner's children and restructured businesses. She also said Epstein ran New Albany, including the Golf and Country Club. Years later, the pair severed ties. But wow, there's a lot of stuff there. So anyway, my belief is that this guy Wexner is going to be the sacrificial monster in this story. They're hoping that if there's enough salacious details in this, that we'll be like, oh, okay, well, at least they got one billionaire. I don't know if there's enough meat on that bone. Listen to this. Tina Bradford says Nutlick bought the place next door from Epstein for $10. I'm telling you guys, that system is rigged. It's rigged in favor of the rich, the wealthy. And it never fails to amaze me how many clunkheads on Twitter are like, with their whole chest defending millionaires and billionaires, and they could barely, they're working paycheck to paycheck, but please don't hurt these billionaires. Idiots. But let's talk about these two candidates, James Talarico and Jasmine Crockett. Excuse me. I love both of them. I strongly like both of these candidates, both of them. And I knew it instantly. With Jasmine Crockett, I don't remember when it was that I sat up and noticed her. It was the electricity, the authenticity of how she spoke, and she is very intelligent. She's very clever. You can't be dumb. You can't be dumb and weave the clever things that she weaves. She's very clever. And James Talarico is different. He's very different. He's got like this, he's got a soft, soothing voice. He's kind of like, he's like John Ossoff, right? Like if you close your eyes when you listen to James Talarico speak, his voice is very soothing. It goes down like like a good brandy or something. I haven't had a drink in over 20 years, but it's like that. And he's also very, very intelligent. He's got some great ideas, both of these, so if this is the problem that the Democratic Party has, like, oh, we have so many good candidates, we don't know who to choose. That's great, right? If that's the problem. But I have seen sniping, and this sniping is inevitably not good. rewind your clocks back to 2016, and it was Hillary in the primary against Bernie Sanders, right? There was a lot of bad blood, there. People felt like the process was rigged, and there were some. Ultimately, there were enough people who were turned off by that process that they either voted for Trump or they didn't vote at all. And that's crazy, bro. That's crazy, because you got to remember, these guys here, John Cornyn, Ken Paxton, and Wesley Hunt, they're all 100% with the pedo protector. They're with him. They're with the guy who's fine with having a 5-year-old boy dragged off across state lines and put in a concentration camp. A 2-year-old kid choking on his own vomit. Do not forget who the bad guy is here. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. These purity tests, these circular firing squads, they're not good. They're not good for us. And I get it. You want to have the best possible chance at winning this election. You know, I can't even remember how many times we have somebody running for Texas, and I'm like, this is the year. We got it this time. One year it was Ted Cruz against Beto O'Rourke, and I was like, wow, Beto. Right? I was excited. Beto was like charismatic. He's like a skateboarder, dude. He's like, he's hip, he's young, he's, he had everything going for him against Ted Cruz, whose own kids don't like him, whose fellow senators don't like him. And I couldn't understand it. Beto lost. And then Colin Allred. If you stand Colin Allred next to Ted Cruz, Colin Allred, a former football player and a studly dude, and against Ted Cruz, I'm flummoxed by it. So I understand why people are nervous. They want to give us the best chance to win, but you got to let the primary process play itself out. And that doesn't mean that you should tear down each other, candidates, tear each other down in ways that they cannot recover from it, in ways that you are handing the other side ammunition to use against. Look, there's these two people. It's Jasmine Crockett and James Talarico. One of them is going to win. So it's a 50-50 chance that one of these guys who is getting bloodied in the primary is going to go on to the general. 50-50. So why would you train your fire against that person who has a 50-50 chance of going the distance and taking down one of those three Republicans? I don't know. It might be Ken Paxton. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Who do you think, which Republican stands the chance of being the Republican nominee for Texas? Who is going to face off against Jasmine Crockett or James Talarico? I think they're both they're both great candidates, in my opinion. So the reason why Talarico and Crockett are in the news is because lately, just a couple of days ago, we learned that Stephen Colbert was told not to air an episode with James Talarico. And so what happens when you tell somebody, don't think about the pink elephant? What happens? All you can think about is the pink elephant, right? So there's a thing called the Streisand effect. Let me see if did I add this. Let me see if I added this here. Here.
You know, I'm going to quote one of my favorite singers and actresses, Barbra Streisand. There's a real Barbra Streisand effect going on here. What are we talking about here? Well, take a look here. Google searches for James Talarico. In the U.S., up 4,900% today versus Monday. How about in Texas, where you have that key Senate race going on there? Up like a rocket. We're talking about up 1,150%. So this has actually been very good news for James Talarico. You want that attention. You have that primary going on in a few weeks, and he's absolutely gotten it both nationwide and, of course, very importantly, in the state of Texas as well, the highest on record.
He has never had more Google searches in Texas or the United States than he did yesterday. All right, that is something. So talk to me a little bit more about this race. He is running in
Okay, so James Talarico is doing well, and Jasmine Crockett is doing well. Let's see how it plays out. I think it's very short-sighted to try to damage either of these candidates with your own agendas. Short-sighted. If you want to see the Democratic Party win, there's a bunch of people who are shell-shocked by John Fetterman, right? John Fetterman seemed like a progressive guy, even though we learned during the campaign that that he shot a person of color. For some people, that was an appeal that he shot somebody. That was appealing to them. Other people said he was racist, but who knew that he was a Democrat in name only? Not me. I was fooled, legitimately fooled. I was one of the people who defended John Fetterman after he had his stroke, and I regret it. Lesson learned. So some people are wondering, are one of these two, Jasmine Crockett or James Talarico, are one of them a John Fetterman? Nobody knows. All we know is we have the cards that we have been dealt. We have to do the best we can with what we have and prop these people up. And I'm speaking to you guys out there. I'm not naming any names, but there are people who are sniping, right? Please stop. Please stop it. It is not helpful. It's not helpful at all. You want to help? Attack Paxton. Attack Cornyn. Attack Hunt. Attack those people, right? That's the adversary. Those are the people who are trying to take, who are voting to take health care away from us. Those are the people who are voting to take our voting rights away from us. Please stay focused. God damn it. Bernadette said, we know Jasmine is no Fetterman, period. With a T on the end. It always cracks me up. I did want to share this thing with you guys. I'm not going to play his shit because I don't platform neo-Nazis, and sure, my show is small but feisty. But this guy here, Nick Fuentes, like I said, not playing him, but Brother Maine posted here, says the MAGA civil war is going to end the Republican Party. Don't interrupt them. And I'm just going to paraphrase. I couldn't watch all of his thing, but sounds like he's done with the Republican Party. He wants, according to his video, and I'm not promoting his video or his content or anything, but he wants MAGA to lose. He wants them to lose the midterms. He wants them to lose in 2028. He wants Democrats elected across the board. I thought that was pretty funny. Now, normally, if a Nazi is cheering for your side, something's wrong, right? But I just look at it more as he is very dissatisfied with their leadership. And I find it funny. Yeah, I will just gladly watch them, the snake eat its own tail. Yeah, Meredith Powell has got it right. She says, Fuentes is such a horrid person, though. Even among MAGA, he's wretched. Yeah. But I love the fact that he's he is attacking them from the right. I don't know what that means, but I hope this is the year. I hope between the two of them, I'm going to tell you honestly what I think, right? I love Jasmine Crockett, but I am fearful that Texas is still too racist. I'm calling it how I see it. America, you fucked me up when you did that, when you did Kamala dirty as you did in 2024. You fucked me up. I was keeping hope alive, as the late Reverend Jesse Jackson would say. I was keeping hope alive for her, and you guys kicked me in the nuts. And you reelected a guy who has 34 felony convictions and who's appeared in the Epstein files a million times now. People are telling me. I was saying it was 38,000 times. It's now up to 1 million. That's crazy. So let's talk about, I'm not going to waste a lot of time talking about Donald Trump's racist attack on the Obamas, but you guys all saw it. He posted on his Twitter account a picture that shows them as apes, and obviously that was beneath the office of the president. But he's beneath the office of the president. Let's not get it twisted here. He is a scumbag. That's it. He is like that guy who's so drunk that he's only still in the bar because he's afraid to get up from the stool because he'll fall off. He's that guy. Yeah. And in fact, he's not even that guy, because that guy has an excuse. He's drunk. Donald Trump has no excuse. As Ed Krasenstein posted here, President Trump refuses to apologize for posting the racist video of the Obamas, simply claiming that it was a video from The Lion King. How can anyone defend this? That's a good question. Now, then, some of you may have seen the video of President Obama's interview by Brian Tyler Cohen. Excellent interview. Excellent. He did his thing. And they touched on it briefly, and President Obama was like, yeah, the American people, they're not for that. They know that it's wrong and blah, blah, blah. President Obama came off like it was no big thing. Like it didn't bother him at all. And really, they say there's a saying that goes, it's a small thing to a giant, right? The small shit, it rolls off. And Donald Trump is so petty and so small, he couldn't be troubled by it at all. Meanwhile, the Obamas are living their best life. They are in love with each other, and you can't fake that, folks. That's not something that, they truly do love each other, and it comes out of their pores. You hope that when you get to however old they are, that that your relationship is still in as great shape as theirs is. President Obama's Valentine's Day tweet says, celebrated Valentine's Day with my forever dance partner. I love you, Mish. These two, these two are great. They're sending each other little love notes over Twitter and the Instagram and the Facebook and all that stuff. It's beautiful stuff. And meanwhile, excuse me, Donald Trump's Valentine's Day post from 2025 says, roses are red, violets are blue. Come here illegally and we'll deport you. Aw, isn't that lame? That was his Valentine's Day message. And it's a picture of him and Tom Homan. Yeah, we get it. You hate people. That's what you wanted to use. He wanted to use his Valentine's Day post for that nonsense. And thank you, Eddie G. for the reminder. There are no fucking apes in The Lion King, by the way. Thank you for that. And then picture. Look how miserable they are. You know, this was his Valentine's Day post, and he couldn't manage a smile for that picture. She finally let him hold her hand. Probably cost him $5 million. But yeah, he's holding her hand, can't manage a smile. It's great. And of course, there was the White House Correspondents' Dinner. President Obama attended all of them. Fearless. What, you gonna poke fun of me? Let's go. Let's have it. And he withstood, you know, some ribbing, some ridicule. Big man, you know, a big man can laugh at himself. Self-deprecating, you know. Donald Trump, on the other hand, he never recovered. He never recovered from that at all. He seethed all through that White House Correspondents' Dinner, that fateful one, the one that made him decide, you know what, I'm going to run for president. He seethed, and after he got into the White House, no White House Correspondent Dinner. Not at all. They didn't have one last year either. What a pussy. I never say that word. Sounds weird coming out of my mouth, but yeah, what a punk ass bitch. There's so many people who are in my replies, in my mentions, showing me pictures of Donald Trump with 3 of the most famous black men on earth. And they're like, well, this can possibly mean that he's racist because look, he's with Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time. He's with Reverend Jesse Jackson, the first black man to run for president. He's with Don King's murderer. But anyway, he was famous back in the day, Don King. So this meme I came across says, if he says this proves he's not racist, then look below. What does this prove? His picture with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Just saying. And speaking of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, on the tail of the tape, President Obama is not in any danger in the Epstein files at all. Nope. No, sir. No. In fact, the only time he is mentioned in there, it's because some pedophiles didn't like him. So they had some nasty things to say about him, which, you know, if you're being insulted by pedophiles, I think that's a good thing. Okay. And last but not least, folks, fun fact, I have never been to the U.S. Capitol. Not even once, not even one time. I've been to the White House like 10 times. Not one time have I ever been to the U.S. Capitol building. Well, that changes next week. Next Tuesday, I will be there, as will JoJoFromJerz. You know and love her. We are going to be covering the State of the Union. We will be broadcasting live from the Capitol building for a long time. I think it's like 6 hours. The State of the Union is not 6 hours, but we're going to be there before and after, you know. So, yeah, that should be interesting. I hope I don't fanboy out too much, but yeah, I'm going to try to get some good interviews going and ask some questions that I've been curious about. And if you want me to ask a question to a specific member of Congress, drop that in the chat. Let me know who you want the question addressed to and what is the question. Try not to make it a yes or no question, make it something that they can, expound on for a bit. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm very excited about having been invited. It's gonna be cool as hell. So Monique says the state of the union is that we are in a shit show. You are correct, ma'am. You are correct. Meanwhile, the things I've been watching, very interesting. There's a show on HBO called A Night for the Seven Kingdoms. I cannot recommend it highly enough. It is incredible. It's slow. It starts off slowly, right? So you got to get past the first episode and a half. After that, you're drawn in. It's already better. Already 5 episodes in, already better than Game of Thrones. Don't at me. It is what it is. I also watched a movie called Predator Badlands, which I think is on Disney or Hulu. It's one of the two. Fascinating, incredible movie. If you like action adventure, sci-fi, whatever, if you like those Predator movies, this was a fun spin because the hero of the story was a predator, but he's like undersized. He's like a runt, and his father wanted to kill him. His father wanted him dead because you can't allow that bloodline to continue because he was undersized. Just because he's short, he's a short guy. His father wanted him dead, but his brother saved his life. And so this undersized predator goes to a planet to capture or kill an unkillable monster to prove himself to his clan. Fantastic movie. Loved it. And Cop Shop on Netflix with Gerard Butler. Interesting movie. Very good. Very, very entertaining. It's basically a guy gets arrested who's got like a price tag on his head. Gerard Butler gets himself arrested because he's the hitman who's been hired to take this guy out. And apparently he's not the only one. And the prison becomes under siege and things happen. Excellent movie. So that's that, folks. Do you have any questions for me? Meredith Powell says, my son and I saw Send Help last week. It is so good. Oh, I know that movie when the two people get stranded on a deserted island and the guy was her boss. I think Sam Raimi directed that. Yeah, I do want to see that. As soon as that comes on TV, I will be watching it. Let's see. Okay. Where did the kitties end up? So 4 of them, 2 of them are together. They are with my wife's hairdresser. One of them, the other 2 are with 2 separate families. And Goose, the one who was undersized, who could not gain any weight at all early on, has now gained plenty of weight. He is with us. We couldn't find a home for him, so he is here. And thank you, Joanne Kennedy, for the Ramadan greetings. Ramadan Kareem to you too. And folks, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Defiant Weekly. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a show next week because I will be traveling on Wednesday to come back here. So you just might just have to watch a rerun of this show. I'll see what I can do. Maybe I'll stream something, but I look forward to seeing you guys here when I return. Same time, same place. I love you all. Peace. Incredible person, incredible human being. Yes, famous. Yes.